Welcome back to Flashpoint. As we mentioned at the top of the show, we are now just a matter of days away from the start of early voting. Here in North Carolina, you can start heading to a handful of select polling locations starting Thursday. Joining us now, Michael Dickerson, the longtime director of elections here in Mecklenburg County. Mr. Dickerson, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're already seeing a number of absentee ballots coming in at your office. How do they compare to, say, the last midterms?
Yeah, correct. We're running ahead of the last midterm already. I think we're already sent out about 22,000 requests already, and received about 3,000, a little over 3,000, 3,200 back so far. So those are good numbers. Those are great numbers. Ever since the pandemic, we kind of trying to figure out exactly how people are going to vote. What's going to be their new course. So we're still judging that and trying to figure that out.
Are we able to read into anything as far as what that means for early voting, say?
Well, I think what we have seen in the past few elections, this has already been a full election year. In 2021, we only had the small municipality elections. In 2022, we've had a primary election in May, a city of Charlotte, a general election in July, and now we're going to have a November general midterm election. So we've already seen that. If you put early voting out there, the folks will go out and they'll vote early. They seem to have picked that up. That seems to be a residual of a couple of things. The pandemic in 2020 and just the sheer pleasure of being able to go vote when you want to vote at an early voting site. So those are things that we have looked at, and those are things we have noticed. So we're hoping that early voting continues this year. I think it's a great opportunity for folks to get out and vote.
All right, make us your pitch. There's a number of locations. They open this Thursday coming up, and people can go in easy breezy, in and out.
Yeah, exactly. We've got 24 sites throughout the county. So you can go to any of the sites. We've got park and rec centers. We've got libraries. We've got Bank of America Stadium again this year. We've got all of these places that are available for us this year, and we're encouraging everybody to get out and vote early. We're going to start weekdays. The hours going to be 8 to 7:30. Saturdays 8 to 3, and Sundays 1 to 4. Now, keep in mind that we close the last Saturday before the election at 3 o'clock that day. So make sure you go, if you're going to go vote early, go do it earlier in the process, and there'll be you shouldn't have any lines, shouldn't have any crowds or anything like that, but it's an easy process. You go in, and once you go in and vote, your name is tagged as voting, and that does not permit you to go anywhere else. Does not permit you to go on election day and vote. If you try something like that, or if you're going to be turned away and said we don't have you on the books, you've already voted. So it's a great fail-safe method of being able to get out and vote and do it when you want to do it.
You were recently part of a bipartisan forum helping restore faith in our electoral system, hosted by Jennifer Roberts, former mayor, and Judge Orr as well. We had them on Flashpoint. There are still folks that you can never be able to convince that our elections are safe and fair. And what would you say to folks out there to restore their faith in our electoral system?
Well, it's funny because that whole trusted elections program that went on was a great effort, and we appreciate being able to take part and be a part of that effort by Mayor Roberts and Judge Orr and everybody associated with that. They went across the state to all, I think, 14 congressional districts. We did a virtual one too. So it was a pleasure to work with that. If you looked at any of those, and I had the good fortune of participating in two of them, one here in town and one virtual. It was a convincing program where you had Democrats and Republicans, you had unaffiliates, you had all of these people telling you this is how the process works. It wasn't just elections directors saying yes, it's safe, or we're sure of it and all of that. So of course we are. We do the job. We follow the law. We make sure we do what we're supposed to do. But these were Republican lawyers and Democratic lawyers throughout the state. These were Republican board members and Democratic board members from the Board of Elections throughout the state saying, "Hey, this is how the process works. This is what we read into it." It's a thorough process. It's vetted by both Dems and Republicans, and folks seem to understand, if you're involved in it, seem to understand that it is a process that has checks and balances on the whole thing. Nothing is done in private. Everything is done in the open. It's a transparent process, and we're out here for the voters. We don't. I don't mean to put it this way. We don't care who wins. And that doesn't. We just count the votes. And it's not for us to participate in how somebody can win or how somebody can't. That's not our job. We're just out here providing a service for the voters of everybody's county and the state. That's all we want to do. We're not trying to. We don't have an agenda on anything. We just want to make sure that these machines work. The voting process is secure. Like I mentioned, we had 2 elections already. And nobody seemed to question the security and the integrity of those 2 elections, the city of Charlotte general in July and the midterm primary. Everybody was satisfied with that. Not satisfied with the results. Of course, if you don't win, you're going to be upset.
Sure. But
they were satisfied with the process worked, and that's the confidence that we want to make sure that people have in this program.
I've been interviewing you now for the better part of the last 15 years, and I know you and your workers and how seriously you take your job and the integrity with which you operate that office. Listen, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it as always.
My pleasure, and thank you, Ben. Seriously, we talked about 15 years. Thank you very much. It is you and people like you that get the message out that we do a good job and we're here for the voters. So we appreciate that on your end.
All right, Michael Dickerson. Thanks as always. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, go vote. All right, more Flashpoint after this.